Everybody, Andy here again. Well, you might have seen on the BBC last night on the news about Hastings Pier and the fact that it's being resurrected after the fire of 2010 and the campaign that went before that, which mustn't be forgotten about, by the way, to rebuild the pier even before the fire took place in October of 2010. But now there's actually work being done on the pier. Mainly partly to do with lottery money and also the campaigning of the people that have gone before and the newer people that have basically taken it over because it's been compulsorily purchased and given to a new peer trust by the council, etc. It's all very good. It's all coming along stream, and there's lots of things going on, and hopefully it'll be up and running by the spring of 2015. Great to see. As anyone who's watched my videos will know, I've been a big supporter of it. The resurrection of the pier, either before the fire or certainly since it as well, and helped to release a CD to raise money and all that sort of stuff, you know. But as per usual, when one of these reporters comes down and starts talking about Hastings, and the particular report on the BBC wasn't just about Hastings, but using it as an example of how other piers, which may be not in a great state of repair or whatever, or not doing so well financially, can be resurrected and new things can happen with people power, with the help of, you know, lottery grants and that type of thing as well. Thinking outside the box and all that type of thing. Maybe instead of the old more tired business models that have gone before. But the reporter talking about Hastings couldn't resist that tired old journalism quote about Hastings being down at heel. I do hate it when people do that. As I said, to me it's lazy journalism. But there's two sides to this in some ways, because initially I'm sitting at the sort of dinner table watching it with the family, and straight away it rises my hackles come up, hence making a video like this, and other people have been tweeting about it as well, saying, oh, it's that same old thing, downhill, let's complain to the BBC and all this type of thing. Yes, there is that side of it, but I know, I've lived here now for 25 years. I know people have obviously lived here a lot longer than that, and you know, I'm a relative newcomer when it comes to some things. But I know that this town offers more than just about anywhere else I can think of, certainly that I know about, apart from a major city. We're talking about a town or an area of a population of around 90,000 people. Now, the amount of things that go on in this town, once again, if you've ever watched any of my videos, read blogs or things like that I've done, the amount of people who've commented, wow, what that happens in Hastings, what this goes on, that goes on. There's something happening just about every single month of the year. Right across the sort of spectrum, we've got traditional events like the May Day Bank Holiday, you know, the Jack in the Green festivals. We've got the upcoming in October, we've got Hastings Week, Battle of Hastings, you know, and bonfire societies and all that type of thing, all tied up with Guy Fawkes and, you know, November the 5th and all that type of stuff as well. Yes, some of those sort of things happen elsewhere, but we put our own sort of quirky mark on it. We have Pirate Day, you know, where people wander around dressed as pirates and this type of thing. Crazy stuff. We have radio stations which are unique to the town that I've been involved with. We have lots of other things going on. So there are things going on all the time that make this town, I think, special. Certainly punches above its weight compared to other towns. So it does get you rather annoyed when people start coming up about it being down at hill. Yes, of course the town's got problems. Every town has got problems. You've only got to look beneath the surface wherever you live and wherever you're watching this from. You will have problems in your town, your city, or even in your village. There'll be drug problems, there will be drink problems, there will be abuse problems, there will be everything will be there. It's just that sometimes they don't get reported quite as much as they do in other towns. Fair enough, you know, seaside towns generally have had it bad, especially over the past couple of decades, I suppose, since people started taking more regular holidays abroad and going to the Mediterranean. The old-fashioned seaside bucket and spade holiday doesn't quite go as well as it used to. Things have moved on, that's fair enough, so therefore it has had an effect on the towns themselves. Some have managed better than others. Some, like Brighton, have become cities and have maybe gone a slightly different way. But places like Hastings, and as I said, there are others as well, have suffered in that. But they've got their own cultures. I know other towns that are similar with their own peers, who've got their own sort of cultures. But I've been sort of conversations that I've had recently, partly to do with the music and everything that I've been involved with, partly to do because of the news of the resurrection of the pier and all this type of thing as well, has made me realise that we're a bit like down here, sort of a little enclave, you know. The transport links aren't very good, the roads aren't very good, the railway links, so we're sort of stuck out on a limb in some ways. And I sort of quote to people that old Millwall football club, you know, sort of outcasts in some way, no disrespect to them as well, but they sort of revel in that nobody likes us, we don't care type of thing. And there's an element of that here as well, I think, that we feel that way down here, and we're very protective of the town that we live in, hence the fact that I'm making this video and other people are campaigning in their own ways. So we get annoyed, but we can then sort of sit back and know that we're living in a place which has got far more going on than anywhere else. Yes, as I said, it has its problems, but it compensates for that with all these other things that happen as well. And in fact, I read a book not long ago where it mentions about places that are sort of down at hill, and it mentioned I think it was Detroit actually, because a city in America that's undergone its own problems especially over the last sort of 5 or 6 years or so. But what the person said is that the artists and everything, those sort of creative talents, those creative people are moving into certain areas of Detroit, as they are down here in Hastings as well, in the area that I particularly live in as well, but right across the board. Places that are having a bit of a hard time, shall we say, attract artists, attract creative minds and creative people, because they see an opportunity. Yes, the property prices generally are a bit cheaper as well. And what the person in the book said, follow the artist, because they know what's going to happen and they start to build things. Things have happened in other towns, Brighton being a classic example, a bit further on the coast. But people are moving here from Brighton now, partly because of property prices and that type of thing, as I said. A lot of creative minds, a lot of creative people are gathering. There has always been them in Hastings, don't get me wrong. Nothing against the local people who've been sort of doing their own thing for 1,000 years or whatever. That's another reason that they're attracted, because of what is already happening, what is already here. There's that sort of groundswell. So that brings another side to it. Yes, we revel in that. We rebel against everybody else, and why the Pirate Day and everything is taken on board so well, and everybody does dress up as pirates, because there's that sort of element here, is that you're protective. You know, you're sort of rebelling against the rest of the country. Nobody likes us, we don't care. We've got our own little secret. And as I said, that brings me to the sort of flip side of this, which once again I've spoken to people about and people agree, is that in some ways I'm quite happy that people are still saying that we're a down at hill town. Sounds a bit of against what I've just been talking about, but not sure that I want the secret to get out, if you see what I mean. I'm not sure that I want this place to be flooded by lots of other people coming down and tagging onto the events that have been going on. As I said, a 25-year veteran, should we say, of Hastings or whatever. People have been here longer, other people are coming in, and as I said, they feel the same way. This is our own little secret. Do we really want the secret to get out and have things watered down? I'm sure people who've lived there their whole lives would already say, oh, it isn't quite the same as it used to be, the old town carnival or this or that isn't quite the same because of the newcomers. That's only going to change if the town goes up. Obviously, property prices change. Probably already happening now, so not of a great concern to myself. So there's two sides to this. Yes, you have the anger, you have that frustration that people still see your hometown as being down at hill and down on its luck and all this type of thing, with the problems that go with that. But there's the other side, that you're actually quite happy to revel in that in some ways and think, yeah, it's sort of snub your nose or whatever to the people who think that as well, because you don't want them to know what actually does happen here and what happens here all year round, not just in the summer, but things going on throughout the winter as well. Sometimes you want to keep it your own little secret. I'd love to know what anybody else thinks and whether they feel the same way. Yes, you want to promote the town. Yes, you want to see it do well. But in some ways, there's that little element. You think, oh, it's our little secret. Let's try and keep it that nice little community that it pretty much is at the moment. Anyway, I'll see you later. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.